Hi, I'm not sure how long this video is going to be. I'm just going to record stuff as I do it, and I may just discard the video at the end, or I might send it along to some people who I think might be interested. Okay, so and I'm talking about oceanographic data from an instrument called a CTD, processed by some software from Seabird Electronics, Teledyne, Seabird Electronics, called Fathom. The software is called Fathom. No, these CTDs can produce files in different forms, and the forms that are normally distributed amongst scientists have been converted from funny frequency units like frequencies of oscillators into what are called engineering units, things like a temperature in a degree Celsius, that sort of thing. And they're normally stored in what's called a CNV file. And I'm showing you two things here. The top window is going to be a browser, which I'll come to in a minute, but the bottom window is a text editor. And there are three tabs in the text editor. There's tab 1, 2, and 3. And I'm using a pretty ugly color scheme, but just by the colors, you can tell which tab I'm in, but you can also tell by looking at the top line. Okay, so this is the normal look of what's called a CNV file. There's a header at the beginning, and lines start with either a star or like an asterisk, but I'll call it a star, or two stars, or maybe and I'm going to call that a hash code number sign. Now it's a kind of a nice format. It's going to tell you, and way at the bottom, it's going to have a line that says star and star, and after that are actual data. So that's one line, and that's the next line. Um, Turning off relative line numbers. So you can see line 75 is quite long, and line 76 is quite long too. So the lines that you see here, these things that look like three lines are just one line. Okay, and there's a bunch of columns there, and it could be a challenge to look through and see what they all are, but what most software that deals with this, what they do is they look at for lines like this, where it says name 0 is something, and what are we up to? 19, 20. There's like 20 columns, I guess, there. Okay, so that's fine. That's what you've got. And software, there's software in MATLAB and Python and R that can read this stuff. Going back decades, going back a long time. Now, this sort of a file, which is like, again, this is what scientists normally work with, um, is uh, is generated from these earlier files, which are called hex files. And there's a pair of files that are used, hex and a con file. And basically, it doesn't sort of matter, but those are the basic files that hold all the information. This CNV file holds all the information that an analyst said, okay, I want you to output from your sort of database the detailed information, and I want you to output, these variables here. Okay, that's fine. Now, it turns out that the software that does that can also do some things that it's quite useful in terms of, and I'm getting a little technical here, but in terms of adjusting for the different locations in physical space at which things are measured, and adjusting for the time response of sensors, measuring various things, etc. I'll just say there's etc. Now there's software to work with this. One is called CSoft from SBE, Seabird. CSoft, and that's kind of an older one. And there's a newer one called Fathom. And working with some colleagues here at Dahazi just the other day, they started using Fathom. Now I want to show you the output from Fathom. You can ask Fathom to give you a CSV file, comma separated values. But if you do that, then you lose this sort of information, like you lose the information on the units, etc. And it's a bit tricky. So for example, the conductivity is measured in this particular thing in millisiemens per centimeter. You'll sometimes see it reported as Siemens per meter. Obviously, those are different numbers. So you really do need this header information. Okay, so this is what you get. And again, I'll just go back to the very beginning. The lines start with a star or they start with a hash code. And software to try to read this header, it looks for that. Like just for example, here it's recognizing the string temperature serial number and that sees an equal. And then it parses it and it figures, okay, fine, that's a serial number for these two different things. And here's a date and etc. Now I'm showing you the new CNV file from Fathom. It doesn't look the same. I mean, doesn't look the same, does it? I'll split the window. And in the top one, I'll put, so the top window there is the traditional look at the top of the file. And this is the new look. Okay, so this looks like it's XML code. And I'm not going to explain to you what XML is if you don't know it. Now's a good time to quit watching this video. And I'm sorry, I should have said in the beginning about that. But it sort of looks like it, except there's a hash space above it. I mean, it's kind of what it looks like. And I'm just going to scroll down. This all looks is giving information on the sensors and whatnot. So it looks like it's scannable. I'll use the word scannable. It's a funny word to use, and we see an end thing here, and the data are at the end after that. So, I mean, it sort of looks promising, I guess. So as a test, what I did was I extracted the data from lines 1 to 143 from this file, the bottom file. And so in other words, I got rid of end and the data below, and I got rid of the first two characters, and that's what you see in this file. And I'll just stop because this is stop showing you the other ones. So this is what you get when you do that. Sorry. You get that 143 lines, and it looks like it has good information. I think it would probably be useful to try to figure out how to make this work. By the way, I'm a co-author of the R package called OCE. And so I thought maybe we should make OCE able to read such data. Well, I ran into problems. So in R, there's a couple of packages that deal with XML files, and they can't read this file. And to make it easier, what I'm showing here in the other window, this is just Safari, like it's just a web browser, right? And trying to look at it. And so this should be showing you information. It's kind of not. Maybe just let me for a second. Okay, I just made a copy of that file, so I'm not going to lose it. Okay, so it doesn't like line 1, column 7. It's not good when you have a problem on line 1, is it? So 27. Okay, we're at 27. So that's interesting. I think what the problem is that this 3-point la 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 needs quotes on it. So let me just put quotes on it. By the way, I'm in the NeoVim editor, and it's quite nice for highlighting. So you can see that I've failed to put a closing quote. All the highlighting changed. So I'll put in the closing quote. Highlighting goes back. I'm going to reload this guy. Much better. Now we get to line 116 at column 16. So let's do that. We're on 116, and there's column 16. Okay, so this is a block called advance. And this is the beginning of the block. See, it says advance and then some extra info, and then a close. Can I just call this an open and a close? I don't want to say less than and greater than too much. So an open and a close. So that ends with open slash and the name of the thing, advance. But you can see the problem here. They've got advance quote. So I'm going to get rid of that. That was line 116. So I'm just going to get rid of that, and we'll try uploading this. Now it's line 121. So, okay, so they've done this and all the advances. This malformed. I'll just say that. Okay, so I've cleared those guys up, and we'll see how far we can get now. And again, ooh. Yeah, I was going to say again, what I'm doing is I'm just showing you the process of working through it. I think I've just worked through it. If I click this is good. So I click this, and the modules, it's clickable, it's all working. Yeah, so this is, and by the way, this is just a hint. This is a nice way of looking through an XML file. And I'm in Safari, but I'm pretty sure that Firefox and Chrome and whatever is the Microsoft thing would do this as well. Okay, so I mean, this is looking interesting to me. This is what I was partly interested in, was this stuff here, the so-called advancing. They're doing loop editing, which is nice. So yeah, there's lots of nice information in here. Now I'm going to have to look at this in more detail to see um, Columns. Okay, well that's good. This is part of the detail I'll be looking for. So I'm going to be looking for the thing called columns. Hope to God they don't bloody change it. Looking for the thing called columns because it looks like the that's going to give information. So the sort of sciencey name for it is pressure. The unit for it is dB. That's a decibar. They also give min and max, which I don't pay any attention to because I don't care. I'm going to read the data anyways. And there's always full of just total garbage data. So I don't care. Like if this could have said -9 gazillion, I wouldn't care because I'm just going to cut that out anyways. Um, yeah, so you've got the ID. These IDs are these, I believe these are the old-fashioned names. I'm pretty sure these are, yeah, the old-fashioned names that we have from the old CNV file format. So OCE can read it. All right, so the bottom line, what am I at? Line 13. I'm going to finish by sorry, minute 13. I'll finish by minute 15 for sure. It looks to me as though I could probably have code um, that would fix this up. Look at this quote mark here. What the hell is that for? Just occurs in these blocks that are also, effed up. I'll say that. I'll be a nice person. I'll just say that. So yeah, so what I could do is I could read that beginning stuff, extract the first two columns, um, get rid of the problems that you've seen. I'll get rid of, if I do it, I'll also get rid of this because obviously it doesn't make any sense. Um, I'll also check with the person from whom I got the data to see if they're using the latest version of CSoft, or sorry, used to be called CSoft, of Fathom, because if they're using an old one, there's no point. I should just ask people to update to the new one and fix problems with it.